What's up, everybody? Today, as you can tell, we're going to be talking about vampires, and no, we are not talking about our pal the Count up on the hill in Forgotten Hollow. We're going to be talking about the vampires that I made for the haunted house that I built. It's actually kind of a mixed family consisting of several vampires as well as 2 ghosts, and I actually spent a lot of time coming up with the backstory for this family, as I'm going to be playing through their life scenario pretty much in upcoming videos. But for this video, this is going to be just like an introduction to the story and basically my thought process behind what exactly went into me coming up with this story. So if you didn't catch the video where I did the build for the haunted house, I'll put a link in the description of the video for that. But for the family, it consists of 6 vampires and 2 ghosts. And basically the story is circa 1861, so around the time of the Civil War, the Winchester family, basically, they are plagued with a bunch of misfortunes, which kind of left Dr. Victor Winchester. He basically thought he had no choice but to turn his entire family into vampires to save them all from an untimely demise. However, the younger sister of his wife, Elizabeth Winchester, the younger sister is Annabelle, she basically decided that she didn't want the vampire life for herself and her son, so they became ghosts instead. So the story is basically that they are haunting the house currently that they all live in. I'm going to go through each character here. So the first character, Dr. Victor, obviously his traits are meant to match his personality. He's a doctor, so he's outgoing. He has the erratic trait, which I thought was interesting, so it kind of gives us idea that he became crazy around the time that all these events are happening, which is why he decided to turn his entire family into vampires, which we'll find out later in the story that his children resent him for that. The wife, she's just basically she's a snob because she married the doctor. Obviously she lives in this fancy extravagant house. She's really one of the only people in the family that don't really resent the doctor for turning them into vampires. She's happy with her vampire life for the most part. I gave her the gloomy trait because she's kind of one of those people that's happy but never happy with what they have. Like she never has enough. And then she's also jealous, so she's always jealous of everyone else she sees. Basically, the son, he's just supposed to be good in general. He's a cheerful guy. Essentially, he's just a normal guy. He's not evil. He's supposed to be good. So as far as his sister Vicky, she's supposed to be the same. Annabelle, she is basically a cheerful person in life. She was jealous of her sister, but now that she has become a ghost, she does resent the fact that her sister chose the vampire life for her family rather than choosing to die like normal people. Katrina, she is basically just a normal teenager. She's just basically confused about, trying to live this vampire life on top of a normal life. Typical teenage angst type things. And then the youngest, Thomas Winchester, he's just a smart kid. And I have a timeline for what I want his story to kind of play out as. But I don't want to reveal too much about why I decided to make him a smart guy or a smart kid starting out, because that will give away the rest of the story that I plan to unfold later on while playing through their lives. So I have a kind of a story mapped out for this family. And then Alexander Winchester, he's just a kid. in life he was very a happy kid, and he has this gloomy trait because now he wishes that he could have become a vampire too. He doesn't quite understand why he wasn't able to become a vampire fully. As you can see, he has the vampire trait as a sim, but that's because he was killed before he completely turned into a vampire, if that makes sense. So that's the outline for the family, basically. I have the description here for this family, and I've also uploaded them to my gallery, so if you want to play around with them too, you can. But I also have the description for the house as well. So the lot detail, basically I gave a little more detail within the lot information. So I kept the generic part of the lot details that came with the lot because I don't really want to erase that, so I can come back to it if I ever redo anything else with this. But basically the history of the house, built in 1853 by Dr. Victor Winchester and his wife, Elizabeth Winchester. And the house is said to be haunted by the ghosts of Alexander and Annabelle Winchester. And basically the fact that Dr. Winchester served in the Civil War as a Civil War doctor. So that's just the basic description of the house itself. But the family description gives a little bit more. So just to kind of show you the inside of the house and where everyone's at here, I'm just going to jump into the lot for a second. And we can check and see what they're doing right now. So as you can see, we've just moved in. The thing that I find kind of creepy is that the lore behind Alexander Winchester's death is that he died by drowning, which is why he is dripping wet right now as a ghost, which is kind of creepy. But this is the inside. And I'm sure we're going to get a call from the Count any second now, because we all know how the Count likes to call you as soon as you move into his town. And he's just going to do normal kid stuff. I'm sure it'll be any time now for the Count to call. Speaking of the Count, I don't know if anyone has done any research into the Count himself. He has an interesting backstory himself. Apparently, he's the only survivor of the 25 founders of this village of Forgotten Hollow. There's even a statue dedicated to the Count in the town square. However, he's supposed to be the great-great-grandson or whatever of the original Count Vlad of the village, but we all know that it's the same guy who's been here since the days that the village was founded. But the other thing I find interesting about him is that if you actually go to the Count's castle and play as him, he is a young adult, which is kind of interesting. So I guess over time you still age as a vampire, but retain the same technical age. I don't know. That's just pretty funny. But I'm surprised he hasn't called yet. Usually he calls. And I think it's kind of funny that the Count has evil as a trait, but I guess it's because he drinks blood of the Sims without asking for permission first, which is frowned upon by Caleb over here and his sister. But I think it's pretty funny that since he's such an evil vampire, but he calls and gives you tips on and life advice as a vampire whenever you first move to his town. And then he never fails to show up to a party that you host, even if he's not invited. So one time I had a wedding for 2 of my Sims, and the Count randomly showed up to the wedding as an uninvited guest, but everyone was talking to him and having a good time with him, so I wasn't even mad about it. So, he may be evil, but he is a good and reliable party guest. Which I guess you probably can't say the same for some of the guests that didn't show up. I don't really think he needs to enter the lottery. But we'll do it anyway, for giggles. I'm gonna go with that they learned how to use technology over time. Which is why they all have cell phones, including the ghosts. We're gonna have him purchase a lottery ticket. Speaking of the ghosts, let's check on them. And I'm not sure what I want to be when I grow up, and all my friends seem to have it figured out. So, how do I figure it out myself? And the only choice is, pick something you like. Great advice, Dad. Emotional control increases. That's funny. Basically, you have to be a vampire, so that's your only choice, is what he said. But pick something you like. The cool thing about this house is I kind of have this hidden room. Like this house is technically 4 floors. But if you start at the bottom and you go up to the 2nd floor, up this 2nd set of steps, and then come in here, thanks to the great addition of ladders to the Sims game, might I add, I was able to create this hidden room up here where there's some coffins for sleeping in. But there's also a clothing pile, which is very strange. Cleanliness used. Dryness dry. Which is strange that that random clothing pile's up there, but I'm not going to question it, considering we just moved in and I just built this house. I don't know how that clothing pile got up there, but we're not going to question it. And why is the bathtub already broken? I swear. We haven't even been moved in for 3 seconds. And why is the mailbox over here? I'm gonna have to move that. Excuse me for a second. You know what? We're just gonna, you know, put the mailbox somewhere that makes sense. You know, I don't really like that plain mailbox. I'll probably change it to the stone-looking mailbox later on. But that was random. We want them to be able to get the mail. My favorite little detail that I added to this house was this little under the stairs closet. He needs to stop breaking the appliances. That's probably what happened to that bathtub up there. Yep, guaranteed. And she's sleeping, and I don't really see why a ghost would have the need to sleep. That's interesting. I just like observing their random choice actions. They're all going somewhere. Oh, and we're just gonna walk right through the fence. Oh, they're going to school. Even the ghost kid went to school? What in the world? That's interesting. I didn't know that he would go to school. Let's have him make some friends. Study hard. We need this boy to be smart. And she's just gonna try to make friends too. I guess that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. I kind of just wanted to give a basic overview of my story and kind of get this ball rolling a little bit. But besides that, I'm going to be continuing the story in upcoming videos, because I actually have this whole storyline planned out for all the characters, which is going to be interesting. Hopefully no one dies any untimely demises before I can complete the story, or else I'll have to start again, because I had a vampire who was living in this house at one point, and for some reason he would not stop building snowmen in the sunlight, and he died while building a snowman. So at least he died doing something he loved. But let's hope that nobody dies by snowman building in this house, because I have a really cool story planned for everyone. But that's all I have for this video, so I guess I'll catch everyone next time.